Welcome to the Successful Life Podcast. I am your host, Corey Barrier, and I am here with Miguel Garcia. What's up, Miguel? How are you?
All right, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So Miguel has, oh my God, this dude's got an unbelievable story. And, a couple of things I'll point out is, first of all, the guy's got 15 fucking kids. So, and they're all by the same person. So, first of all, that in itself is just you just don't hear about that. Like I don't know another soul on this planet that has 15 kids, other than maybe your dad.
No. Actually, I came from a family of 9. My family of 7. So we want to kick everybody's ass, so we got 15.
Good Lord, I'd say so. So Miguel owns multiple companies, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that as well as his story. Because and I know some of the story, but I want to hear all of the story. So Miguel, wherever you'd like to start, if you want to start with the starting out as a kid, or you want to start out with your companies, either way, I'm good either way.
I think people know about my business and things like that, not the background. So I migrated to the States in 1977. My parent migrated in 71, and then in 1977 he brought us all in. We got all visas and shit like that, and we migrated to Chicago. But I was born in a town called Guadalajara, which is one of the main cities in Mexico. There's 3 cities, and that Guadalajara is one of the main cities, big cities. But I grew up like dirt poor, playing soccer on the streets, and happy as shit, man. I'm telling you what, people tell you to, go get a lot of money and all that stuff so you could be happy, and it's really that's not the recipe, man. I mean, when I go back, I see kids playing soccer on the street, barefooted or whatever, and they're happy as the kid be, So anyway, I grew up like that. Honestly, I didn't know I was poor.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because I think if you don't know, it's just like you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So if you grow up with no shoes, you don't know what it's like having shoes.
Exactly. So for instance, an example, like we ate beans in the morning, we ate, rice and beans in the afternoon, and we had beans for dinner. And my mom, since we couldn't afford milk, she would make a lemongrass tea or chamomile tea or something like that to go along with things. And I thought that was just like perfectly fine. I love my food. I never had a piece of white bread, sliced bread, toast, jams or gels or anything like that. Nothing. And so that was a big shocker when I came to the States. Oh, ketchup. I
never had ketchup?
Nope.
Wow.
No, never. So, when we came to the States, it's like a rude awakening in terms of the culture and also, the food. Because we're like, my mom is giving us all this stuff, and we're like, it's all sugary stuff. I mean, we loved it. Peanut butter and jelly, dude. That was like the best discovery ever for me.
It still is one of the best discoveries ever, if you ask me.
Yeah. We grew up like that, and when we landed, I guess in 77, my dad had a 1-bedroom apartment in a basement, and it was 9 of us in there.
Good Lord.
The girls would sleep in the living room in a sofa bed, and my mom and my dad obviously in the bedroom, and us boys would sleep in the common area of the basement, which was the laundry area. So at night, nobody was doing laundry, so we would open the door and just put a couple of rugs in there and sleep on the floor. So we did that for several years, 2-3 years, till I got a job and working for Zenith. It was a union job. So I got in and I was making $6 an hour. That was 1978, something like that. So I was working the third shift, so there was a premium.
Right.
I would work from 11 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. and then go to high school.
Dang.
Yeah, then come back from high school, take a nap, and then do homework, and then do it all over again. But we were able to save, between my mom, my dad, and I, save enough money for a down payment to move. So we bought a house in 1980. So we lived in this one-bedroom apartment for like 3 years.
Yeah. So, but I think the transition from the apartment to the house is super important.
Oh, hell yeah, man. It was just awesome. I mean, I got to sleep on a bed.
No. I mean, like the meaning, like the story of how you literally physically transition from one to the other. What happened that made you guys move? Because didn't something happen and then you moved into the house that really wasn't finished?
Okay, no, that was when I was little. When I was in Mexico. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha.
So yeah, when I was in Mexico, at age 5, I think I was born in the city, and my dad was building a house in the outskirts of the city. Well, in the old days, it was very remote. Then my guy got pretty upset with one of my aunts and said, basically, "Fuck it, we're moving out." That night, man, we moved out, and he took us to the unfinished home, and it only had a kitchen, and I don't think it had a bathroom. I don't remember, but we had a kitchen and a little room, and it's us and like 4 kids back then, 4 or 5 kids back then, and it was pretty wild, man. I was like, you wake up the next morning in a neighborhood you don't even know, and you're looking around and like, what the heck, man? It's dirt streets, and just really, he took us to the poor side of town, definitely.
Well, so the reason I think that's super important, and at least for me, I read a little bit about Miguel's story in a book that he's writing, and the reason that portion stuck out to me is because I this is not exactly the same, but when we were on our way to the resort in Jamaica, there were these houses exactly the way you described in the stuff that in the book that you had, the stuff that you sent me, and all of the houses are unfinished. And so what the guy said was they would literally build one room at a time, live in it. Then they would build another room. Then they would have 2 rooms, and then they would build a third room. And it's crazy. It's wild. You don't see that here.
No, we started with like 1 bedroom and the kitchen, no bathroom, and then we finished the house and we had 5 bedrooms and 3 baths. So it took a long time.
How long did it take?
Oh,
how long?
Maybe 15 years or something like that.
God,
I'm like, no. So I was 5, probably 6, 7 years, something like that. I never thought about it, but it was 6 or 7 years, yeah. So my dad mortgaged the house so he could get money to come to the States. And so he came in 1971 and worked his butt off to pay off the mortgage of the house so that we wouldn't lose the house. And that's why we couldn't come with him, because he had mortgaged the house. But, 77 was a different story. He was able to afford us to come over, and I didn't think we were going to get the visa though. When my mom came to see my dad in 1976, and she stayed about a month, and then she went back when she brought my little brother, and she came back and she goes, your dad wants us to move. And I'm like, whatever. We're not going to get a visa. We don't have the money. And I was like, yeah, I'll continue on with my life, But man, lo and behold, he got the money, and when we went to the consulate in Guadalajara, we got the visas. It was like incredible. I could not believe, they gave us visas. It was just so lucky.
Yeah, because when you were mentioning that just a few minutes ago, I thought to myself, it's not even that easy, not super easy to get visas now, right? I mean,
no, it's hard.
Wow.
It's hard
yeah.
So, the mama goes, okay, we're moving. And I'm like, what the freaking hell? I had my life. I had a scholarship. When I was little, I was awarded a scholarship for, which is junior high, and then high school and college. So I had a scholarship for my whole career if I wanted to stay out there.
And for what?
Anything I chose.
I mean, the scholarship typically is, academic or
Academic, yeah.
oh,
Academic,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Scholarship.
Okay.
And so when I came here, we came June 9th. And then I went back in August because I had to go back to school. So when I got back to school, I started playing hooky because my parents weren't around. I was living with my grandparents in my parents' house. And I started hanging around with all kinds of ugly people. I was 13 years old, man, going to bars and things like that. It's all good.
Good Lord.
Yeah, yeah. And so my grandparents couldn't really manage me. And so I guess they told my mom, and my mom called me, and she go, so I missed one of the semesters. I didn't join the school for that particular semester because I missed the deadline. And my mom called me and she goes, hey, how would you like to come to Chicago for the winter? It's beautiful snow and blah, blah, blah. We'll have Christmas together and all that shit. And I'm like, okay. I've never seen snow. So yeah, let's go. So when I came back to Chicago, I had long hair. My mom would never allow me to have long hair. So I was, it's the 70s, dude. Everybody had to have long hair, right?
Right.
Almost scrubby, stuff. And as soon as we got home, she cut my hair. And, we had Christmas together and all that stuff. And I said, so when am I going back? And she goes, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. She goes, no, you're not. You misbehaved, so you're going to stay. So she took, my passport and all that shit. She put it away, and she goes.
Would you have rather go back, or would you have rather stay? You would have.
Oh hell yeah, man! But you got to understand one thing. A lot of people don't understand this about people that immigrate. Even now, the folks that are immigrating, you do it because of the necessity of economic issues, basically. I mean, you got to eat, right? You got to feed your family. You got to do things, and you can't do that in your country. So now you're forced to move. And when I moved here, I had no friends. I didn't speak the language. I wasn't too fond of the food. It's a different world, literally.
Yeah.
And now I have to learn English. I have to go to school. I don't have no friends. It's not like you move from Texas to North Carolina. It's not like
right.
that. You move from a totally different country, and it's a new world.
Well, yeah. And I guess, being integrated with not having any social skills whatsoever is probably a fucking nightmare.
It was. And back in the day, I played soccer. I mean, I love playing soccer every single freaking day. And I played organized soccer with my club and all sorts of things. And I come here and I couldn't even do that. Soccer wasn't implemented in the school system yet, in the public school system.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's another kick in the balls.
Yeah, you're really a fish out of water, weren't you?
Oh yeah, and I was 15, I think, and rebellious and shit like that. So it was a pretty tough transition time for me. It was hard. It was really hard. Then I realized, you kind of sober up, and then you go, shit. Okay, I'm not going back. So what I'm going to do is I got to learn the language. I got to adapt. I got to start, developing some social skills here and all that stuff and figuring things out. So, and I got a book. I remember I had to learn English in 30 days, 30 lessons. So I'm like, at the end of the month, I'm going to be fluent with these people. I'm freaking going through this book like nobody's business, man. I'm trying to shorten the time. I want to learn the entire, language in 15 days and do 2 lessons a day and all sorts of things. Obviously, it didn't work. I don't know how much my mom paid for that book, but it didn't work. So, here I am in high school, like, they didn't have bilingual programs like they do now or anything like that. It's just like you're sitting and you hear all this stuff and it's like, I don't know what the hell they're saying,
I can't even imagine that. Like, I guess I can, sitting in a Spanish class, like.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, and I'm like, fuck this. I don't want to learn. Like, I don't want to learn Spanish that bad. I mean, like, I just to learn a different language to me is so. I don't know. It's a challenge.
It is a challenge. It's a challenge. So finally, the summer of 78, we got some Puerto Ricans that moved down the block, and then my wife's family moved down another block. And so all of a sudden I could hang out with, Spanish speaking people, like the music, the culture, the food, the this and that. And it became more bearable. And then, they joined high school, and my wife, I had two brothers that were in high school with me. And so now I have some people to hang out with and all that stuff. But it was pretty rough for a while, man. It was rough for a while.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
But if it was for me, I would stay back. I would, because that was my world, man. I mean,
What do you think life would look like if you'd have done that?
Okay, now hindsight, I'm glad my mom didn't let me go. Right now, I mean, with the way I am, I'm probably a very corrupt politician in a very high place. Or I'll be the second in command with El Chapo.
Right. Not Louis Chapo.
No, not Louis Chapo. Yeah, I guess I've gone back and seen some guys from my neighborhood, and I'm going, all right, I did all right.
Yeah, because I bet, you can look back, and I'm sure they're probably exactly just they're an older version of what they were, 50 years ago.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, the circumstances are different. This is the land of opportunity. If you can't make it in the U.S., you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, this is the land of opportunity. I think if our Lord Jesus Christ came back, this would be the land of where honey and milk flows, because it's the land of opportunity. And in Mexico, I mean, these guys, they try to do business, open up businesses, and then they get shaken down by the government. They get shaken down by the local gangs, and it's just impossible to do.
Well, so what do you mean? Like, give me an kind of an example, or give everybody listening kind of an example of what you mean by that, because I grew up here. I don't know anything about that.
So for you to get a business license, you have to go to the government office and wait hours and hours to talk to somebody, and then wait days and days for your license. If you want it faster, you bribe somebody.
Okay.
That's how it works. And once you get your license, then you open up your business, and then the local mafia or gangs or whatever, they'll collect a fee because you're selling there.
Right.
And it's just hard. I mean, one of the guys was telling me that he has a jewelry. He had a jewelry store, and they would come in and collect. Say, hey, dude, you pay us, or something's going to happen to you, your family, or your jewelry store. And so he had to pay him some money. And then they'll really let you grow. And it's not very a good environment to be an entrepreneurial person. And there's other guys that aren't making it or whatever, but they have big connections. If you don't have connections, you ain't shit.
Right.
If you got connections, you get protected and all sorts of things. And that's the part I despise about the culture.
So, just out of curiosity, like, what, when you say they would get shook, shook down or whatever it was you said, how often would that happen?
Oh, I mean, they have so you owe this amount of money every 2 weeks or once a month.
Okay.
So for him, I think it was a couple times a month. They would come in and collect, and you had to have the money ready. You remember? Have you ever watched The Godfather, the movie?
This is really embarrassing, but I didn't love the beginning of The Godfather because of just the way his monotone and just how slow he talked, and so I never got through the whole movie. I watched every other gangster movie you can think of.
Well, that's my epic movie. They're shaking down the I think it was the baker. They were shaking down. So he comes in and they ask him for something. Okay, pay up and all that stuff. And it's the same thing. It was the same thing for my buddy. But yeah, just tough, man. But so they resort to other things. But again, the corruption there is just awful, and everybody knows that that's the way to get ahead. So everybody contributes to corruption, like bribing the policeman. If you can't get what you want, you bribe the person, and it's a cultural thing.
That's
So I
crazy.
despise that. Now that I go back and I just despise that. I got pulled over by a cop and he saw my license plates. I drove out there with my family. He saw my license plates were US, and he's like rubbing his hands and like, I got this guy. So I had an expired driver's license and my regular driver's license. So I had my expired driver's license on my wallet. And so he pulled me over because he said that I ran the line. I said, dude, I didn't run the line. He goes, yes, you did. And, he just started messing with me. And I said, if you're looking for a fucking bribe, I'm not going to give it to you. And he looked at me all indignant, like, what do you mean? And I said, I ain't fucking going to give you anything. So what do you want to do? He goes, I'll take your driver's license away. And I said, here's a fucking driver's license, man. Take it. It was expired, so I don't give a shit. He goes, well, you need this to drive in Mexico, and so you have to go to the police station and get it there. And the what do you call it? The ticket is going to be like an exorbitant amount of money, and that's the only way you're going to get your driver's license back. And I said, okay. So where's it? Where's the police station or whatever? And he goes, well, it's whatever, 5 blocks away, 10 blocks away, whatever. I said, I'll meet you there. Fucking takes off and I take off. Fuck him. It's like, oh, so he got my expired driver's license, so whatever. I mean, I don't care.
But he would have kept it though. And what would have happened is you would have had to pay you'd have had to pay the ticket, right? I guess.
I was so Well, I was so adamant I'm not paying that. I knew that's why I took my expired driver's license. But that's how people contribute to corruption. I should have gone, okay, I'll go to the police station and pay whatever it is, and argue with the case or whatever. But you don't know. It's like this guy collects a bribe and then he has to pass on a certain percentage to the bribe to his boss because they have a quota.
Right.
So if I go talk to his boss and try to argue my case, what's the point?
Right, because you're arguing with the guy that it's going to be it's partly his money. So why would he side? Why would he side with you?
Yeah. Why would? So it's just like, a dead end. I got pulled over several times, like 3 or 4 times because of the license plates. And one time I said to the guy, I'm not going to give you the fucking money. All right, I'm not. I said, do whatever you want to do. And the guy goes, all right, can I just have some money for a soda? And I'm like, okay. So I gave him $1. And he's like, get the fuck out.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
No, dude, it's just a shakedown like that, man.
Is it because they don't get paid enough, or is it they're just greed, or is it both?
No, they don't get paid enough. So back in the 70s, they had the National Police Director, whatever his name was, his title was, if you wanted to be a police officer, you would come and work. Let's say I was the guy. You would come and work for me with no salary. You had to make your own money out of bribes.
Damn.
Yeah. So commission-based job.
Right. That's what it sounds like. Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's always well documented everywhere about this period of time, but that just continued on. I remember in Chicago, early 80s, there was a campaign in a radio station and in a TV, in the Spanish station, telling people not to try to bribe officers in Chicago because you came from Mexico, if you ran a red light or stop, you give them $5 and you're done. Well, these guys were trying to bribe the Chicago police officers, and they were throwing their ass in jail because they were trying to bribe them.
Right. Yeah, because that's against the law here.
Yeah, but out there is not. I mean, you knew that you could get out of the ticket by just giving the guy some money, and that was it.
Wow.
You don't have to go to court. You don't have to do all the all that crap. You just pay the guy right there, and then you're done. So
that's crazy.
So I'm not there because of all those reasons. I love going back. Now that we're on the subject, so I'm a U.S. citizen, right? But people tell me, well, but you're Mexican too. And I said, I am. I mean, I was born in Mexico. So the way I explain people how I feel about the United States or Mexico as my country is like when you're adopted. So Mexico didn't take care of me. They put me up for adoption. They didn't want me, so I fucking left. The U.S. adopted me. There is my adopted country, and it's giving me everything. Why would I love the U.S. less than the country that kicked me out?
Right. And I can't think of a
Gave me
reason.
out for adoption, right? So, I'm very, very proud of this. Extremely proud. And so, I explain people about when they understand, when they see it that way, when they hear it that way from me, they go, okay, I get it. Yeah. So, the U.S. my adopted country, and it's given me everything,
That's
everything.
amazing. So
And
tell me about your first business. Tell me what the first business that you started and how you started it. Because you had, it's ironically all odds against you.
yeah, yeah. So the reason why I started my business was because out of necessity, obviously. When my wife was having a child every 2 years, and so she's just stay-home mom. It's another thing I want to tell people. People go, well, why? Why? It's like, fuck, man. I'm Catholic, so when I get married, I have a contract with God, and in the contract, the priest states, "Would you accept all the children that God sends you?" And we said yes, and so that's what it is, dude. It's I can't violate that contract. I mean, it's not. I can't do it. Okay.
Right.
Um, and so she was having a child every 2 years, and she wanted to be a stay-home from the get-go. When I was dating her, she wanted to have a lot of children, and all the motherly instincts, all those beautiful things that the nurturing, and also she's got all the qualities, and she wanted to have kids. And so I'm like, that's fine. I mean, we got married, we got a ton of kids. So I was always working my ass off to make ends meet, because you're feeding a lot of mouths, and then you have hospital issues or whatever. So I've always worked a part-time job. So I was a programmer in the 80s, up until 94. I was a programmer analyst of
Okay.
IBM mainframe systems. And at night, I could be a waiter, or I could be a cleaning guy. I was cleaning toilets full of shit in a factory at night, because I had a crew, and we would go and clean this factory of the offices and the factory floor. I did taxes. I did a lot of stuff, side hustles to get money. So the hustling part, I've always had it, but because I really need it. Then we moved out of Chicago in 2005. The reason why I left Chicago is, I tell people, you got to look at your circle. And my circle was very, not poisonous, but it was, yeah, it was poisonous.
Somewhat toxic.
Yeah, very toxic, man. Very, very toxic. And so,
What do you mean by that? So when you say that, what did you mean by your circle's toxic? And the reason I want you to go into that is because somebody may be listening and they say, well, they may be thinking about their circle, and what we're talking about is the circle, meaning the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah. So, our families are big, her family and my family. And so we got uncles and brothers and brother-in-laws and all this. And we were hanging out and drinking a lot. I was spending a lot of money. And then we started shooting pool. And so I was shooting pool Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays. And then I was hanging out the bar, almost every day. And then on the weekend we get together and we get all drunk and all sorts of things. And so after a period of time, I'm buying groceries with my credit card because I can't afford this vice. You go to the bar, it's very expensive. But hanging out with them, and my wife and I started having arguments about, what the hell, man? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not cheating. No, I'm with your brothers. I'm with my uncle. I'm with my family. I mean, we're just hanging out. And so we started having enough of those arguments until we had a conversation, and we're like, we can't continue with this because this is going to break.
What made you? What was some of the indications that things were not going great for you?
Family, so I would go on and drink, and my wife, I would come home and I miss dinner and all sorts of things. So my wife went to get advice from my grandmother, and my grandmother says, look, you don't fight Miguel. You just kill him with kindness, and you got to give 100% so that he sees that. And so I would start coming home, and she would leave my plate setting on the table. And to me, it was a reminder, hey, you missed dinner. Then, I get to the bathroom, and she's got all my things laid out. I go to our bedroom. She's got my clothes laid out for the next day because, you had to wear a shirt and tie to be a programmer. Back in the 80s, you had to do that.
Right.
Everything was ironed out, laid out, matched, things like that. So all those time, these things were yelling at me like, freaking loser, man. What are you doing? You got a great wife. You got a great life. Yeah, sure enough, man, I broke down. I mean, it's like, I can't do this, man. I'm an asshole.
Yeah. How long did that last, do you think? How long do you think coming home to empty place settings and everything set up, how long did you let that drag out?
Honestly, I don't know, but it was those things, and then the fact that she wouldn't argue with me. Like,
Ooh.
Yeah. So I want to say it was probably a year or so, but I was getting better. I would not go like every night anymore, and I would stay home more often, and I would do more things. It was gradually, so I had to be there for a year or a year and a half or something like that. So
wow.
92, we went to a spiritual retreat, and I went, and it's a 5-day retreat. It's a silent retreat, so you don't say anything, and they're teaching you all this stuff, and you can't say anything. And you go to your room and you meditate about that stuff. And so,
let me tell you something. I got to stop you.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I swear the last time I interviewed Vaughn yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And I told Vaughn, because Vaughn's Catholic, switch from Baptist to Catholic, and I was telling him that a friend of mine in 2006 invited me on a silent retreat that I had no idea because I wasn't Catholic. I didn't know what the fuck. I had no idea what that was until I got there, and the father was like, "All right, like until Sunday," and I'm like, "The fuck you mean? Like what?" And everybody's, and I'm like trying to follow along. Everybody can tell I'm an idiot because I don't know what I'm doing. I have zero clue. But that weekend, because I had to literally sit in silence. I would say that's when I got introduced to Matthew Kelly, and I know you know who Matthew Kelly is, right? Matthew Kelly, Catholic, is pretty big. I'm surprised, actually. You should anyway. So you should check him out. But I was telling Vaughn that, and he was like, "Yeah, I've never gone on a silent retreat." I'm like, "Well, if I would have known, I probably wouldn't have either." But I'm kind of glad that I didn't because it was you're there with God, and that's it.
Well, the beautiful thing about the silent retreat is that you kill all the noise.
Yeah.
Now, God does. There's a saying. I think there's a saying that God whispers to you, and then when you have pain or whatever, it's like he's yelling at you, like, "Dude, wake up, wake up!" He sent you a wake up a moment. And that's when God is yelling at you, quote unquote. But in the retreat, it's total silence. You could hear yourself think, and all of a sudden, you're looking inside and figure out what am I doing? Where am I going with this? What's my 5-year, 10-year plan or whatever? And it's very sobering because you realize exactly what you're doing and where you're going to end up if you don't change that. You're going to lose your family. You're going to end up God knows where. I had 2 very close calls, 2 accidents that were kind of God going, "Hey, moron, wake up." So one time, so a friend of mine, I lived in a street, a dead end, and it was the Chicago River on the other side of the street, right? And so they had like these big rocks there. And my buddy had a stick shift Honda, and he was, "I bet you could get it down to 70 on your street or something like that." And I'm like, "Bullshit, you can. We're drunk, right?" And I had a buddy of mine in the back. It was in the back seat. It was a 2-seater, and we had him laying in on where the
hatchback.
Yeah, it's back. And he's like, "Okay, game on," and he starts riveting the car, and he's going crazy, man. And all of a sudden, I mean, you're there right here, and he hit the brakes, and the car hit the rocks, and we were almost going to get launched, and for some reason we didn't. So the car was like, almost well, in a 90-degree almost
Wow.
position. And so it was like next, we had to get the car down and all sorts of things. I wasn't drunk anymore by then.
I bet.
Nobody was. Nobody was.
Mm-mm.
And so we had to get the car down, and then the next day, because I had to come in. It's like a little circle there. You come to the dead end and you come around. Then I saw the marks there, and I'm like, well, why didn't I end up on this river? I just don't get it, Thank you, God, or whatever. So then I had another one where a buddy of mine had to get like 45 stitches in his head because we had an accident. It was just bad stuff.
And what happened?
We were drinking and just trying to run the yellow light, but the lady in front decided not to, and hit it pretty bad. And this guy was so drunk that, back then you didn't wear seatbelts, right? In the 80s, I guess. He vaulted out of the seat and hit his head on the sunroof. The sunroof had it was aftermarket.
T-top.
Yeah, and so he just cut himself open, man. He's like he had to pay, basically. It was nasty.
Ooh.
He was married, 4 kids, and I had to go to emergency room, and I was just bad stuff. And so, yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
I
took him home. Actually, I took him home because I was going to patch him up, according to me. And he was so drunk, he didn't care. He was just bleeding. And took him home. I told my wife, get in the bedroom. I don't want you to come out. So I'm trying to clean him up in the bathroom. And she's in the bedroom with the kids. And I'm like, there's no way I could patch this up. So, so I took him to the emergency room, and they couldn't do anything to him because he was so intoxicated that they had to wait like the next day to patch him up for surgery. They had to do something. They couldn't do something because he was so drunk. So they kind of stopped the bleeding, patch him up a little bit, and then the next day they took him in and really fixed him up, I guess.
Yeah, that was a close call. And you were driving.
I was driving. Yeah. Yeah. So I felt guilty, remorse, and I mean it was the hangover from the booze and also the moral hangover.
Yeah.
You had to look at his wife, I had to look at his kids. He couldn't go to work for like 30 days or something like that. And it was just it was bad.
Well, and stuff like that can really, if you're barely making it, shit like that can really take a turn. I mean, that's, we talk about defining moments. That could be that one decision away from, that could be the decision that went south.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so those combination of things, my wife changing me and then me doing those stupid things, kind of like, I had enough of the shit. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So we looked at our circle and said, you know what? We can't move 30 minutes away or an hour away or 2 hours. They'll fucking drive out there, man.
That's right.
It's a great time. So we, at the retreat, I met some people from Kansas, and they go, hey, I'm selling my house. It's 1/3 of an acre, 5 bedrooms, 2 baths, $60,000. And I'm like, what? I had a home in Chicago. It was $128,000. I had,
which is a lot of money back when in 2005. Is that when you said?
No, 1992.
Yeah, that was still a lot of money in 1992. That would be equivalent of probably $500,000 now.
Something like that. But I'm like, shit, I could sell my house, pay cash for this sucker, be debt free, and get away from everybody. So that's what we did. We just
What part of Kansas?
I'm about 30 minutes from Vaughn.
Are you really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. So I'm in Mary's, Kansas. And for those of you guys who want to come and see me, I got guns. 4 gun stores, guys, and an ammo manufacturing company. So,
do you really?
Yeah.
That's one of your companies is ammo manufacturing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So so now getting to the business, a friend of mine got out of the Air Force and was running he was a programmer. So he had a web portal, and he was attached to a manufacturer. And So he would just pass the orders to the manufacturer, and he was getting like that 20% commission. And he said to me, look, if we do this together, we get our own website, we could get 50% instead of 20%. So I joined him. And, you know, long story short, that was 2001. In 2006, we opened the first retail store in a military, outside a military base in Fort Riley. Then that was May 2006, and then September 2006, I opened a store inside the base in Fort Riley.
Okay.
So I started figuring out what the process was.
Well, let me ask you this really quick. So I would think, just being non-military, that why would you need an ammo store on a military base? I would think that the military would provide all the ammo you would need.
Okay, so back then we didn't have the ammo. This was just tactical gear. It was you know, anything the soldier wore, like boots, you know, socks, belts, pouches to carry the ammo, slings for their guns, for their pistols, backpacks. It's all upgraded equipment because our government gives them shit.
Okay, see, I don't know that. I didn't know that.
It gives them shit. At least the Army. The Marines take care of their people, but the Army,
not so much.
Not that much. So there was an opportunity for a lot of aftermarket or upgrade parts. So you know, you go to Iraq, you're going to go to war, and they issue you a fucking holster that it takes you, you know, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 seconds to get your gun out of the shed.
Or you're dead.
You won. That you could draw your weapon in less than 1 second. I mean, if you're in a gunfight,
you need that one. So you need every second you could possibly get.
Exactly. And so you know you're buying, so you upgrading your holster, and then the boots that the government was giving back then, they would weigh about 3 to 4 pounds, and they would upgrade to, like, Nike came up with some boots, and a size 9 was 14 ounces, just like a tennis shoe. So, you know, the guys are deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're doing 12, 14-hour patrols on foot. You want to have the most comfortable shoes, the best socks possible, the lightest vest, just so they would upgrade. And so that was kind of our business. We were selling upgraded stuff to them.
That's smart. I didn't know. I guess I just thought that everything would have to be government issued. Like I wouldn't think that they would allow you to, you know, because you got to wear your hair a certain length, and you got to, you know, you got to show up a certain way, certain weight, certain X. I would have assumed that everything else is the same way.
And you're correct. I mean, but the third-party manufacturers were matching the uniform. They were matching, like for the backpack. They would match the same material as the military. They had a license to do that, but they would, their backpacks or their vests would be more efficient. Like the military will issue a vest with a certain configuration. If you're left-handed, you're fucked. You know?
Really?
Yeah. Or you know, if you wanted to put other things in there, you couldn't. So we would sell a modular vest where you would attach whatever you need. You know, if you want to have grenades versus pistol pouches, you could. You know, it would fit your needs. And so yeah, we did that. And
do you still have that?
No. So we sold the business in 2017. So in I'm speeding the things up. We blew up the business to about 24 stores.
You did what?
We blew up the business to about 24 retail stores.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned grenades a second ago, and then you said blew up. So
yeah, I remember.
So
yeah.
Okay, 24 retail store, and they were all on not all on the base.
No, so we had stores all over the country, including Hawaii, and yeah, so we had a military store in Schofield Barracks in Oahu, and then we had one in the Air Force Base. I can't remember the name, but anyway, bunch in Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Colorado. I mean, just everywhere.
Sure.
Then we decided to get into the gun business. And so what we did is we opened up some retail stores outside the base because they wouldn't let us sell guns and ammo inside the base. So we opened up stores outside the base. We opened 4. And then the ammo shortage came in. I don't know if you remember that, I think it was 2014. There was no ammo. So we had gun stores with no ammo. And so I told my partners, I mean, let's just make the ammo ourselves. And they're like, you're fucking crazy. And I'm like, well, we'll figure it out. So I figured it out. And with their help, we created an ammo manufacturing company. So in 2017.
Well, I was just going to say, so I remember my stepdad, he would take, I guess it was just pistol cases, I guess. And you probably couldn't do shotgun because that'd be blown all to pieces, but I was assuming. But I remember pistol for sure. He would take and he would have like some kind of device in our garage that he would load the shit with, and I always thought one of these days he's going to blow his fucking face off. Because I just don't understand it enough to know. But I'm thinking, well, if it's a bullet that fires, I think that could be very easily could happen. So, like, I mean, when you say you're manufacturing ammo, the liability of that I imagine would be through the roof.
Yeah, it's a high liability. But back in the 2014, 2015, no, actually it was Obama's second term. Let's put it away. I don't know when the fuck it was.
Yeah, I don't either.
He was being very restrictive, and they were going to ban AR-15s and the ammo and all sorts of things. So people were panicking. They were hoarding the ammo. So
I do remember that now.
All right. So for us to get into the ammo business was really good because inventory is like gold. I mean, if there was a shortage or whatever, you had a gold mine there. So just to get into. It was hard because during those years you couldn't get the components. Like to get powder, I had to buy a ton, literally a ton.
Literally a ton, which is how many pounds for those people listening?
I think it's 2,000 pounds.
God dang! What'd you do? How'd you store 2,000 pounds of fucking gun ammo?
Illegal drums.
Or not in what?
In drums. Well, they sold it to you in drums, and then we had the facility to store them, and it had to be separate from the other components.
So like a separate temperature, a certain temperature, I would imagine.
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
The whole building is temperature control, but yeah, I mean, it just sits on the side. It's sealed, and that's it. So then you have the primers, which are the little explosives, but you got to hit them hard for them to go off, right?
Okay.
Then we had the cases, and then you had the bullets. So everything that we bought was in the thousands. Like the cases, the minimum buy was 250,000 cases. Yeah, and so everything was like that. It was capital intensive, definitely. But for us, we had the capital, and we're like, this is, you're printing money basically.
Right.
And so that's what we did.
Wow. That's crazy. I think that's such a smart way of thinking. I mean, if there's a shortage, you make it. I mean, that's a genius idea if you ask me. So, I bet your sales you probably didn't have to do shit to sell.
No, Obama was the best sales person ever for us.
because of the fear.
Oh yeah, when he got reelected, like the week after, we had the 30 round magazines. I think we had like 15,000 in stock, and we sold out of them like in a week. It was bizarre. It was crazy, man. So when the election of Trump and Hillary was going on, we were making ammo left and right. I mean, our warehouse was full, and we were holding the sale of ammo because we thought that Hillary was going to win, and if she won, I mean,
you'd have had a gold mine.
Yeah.
However,
yeah, Trump won, and our bubble burst basically, and so we were sitting on a lot of inventory. So we had to do some crazy sales and things like that. We got rid of it, but yeah, we were betting that we didn't want her to win, but we were betting that she was going to win because everybody
Yeah.
the fake news that she was going to win.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, well, we're ready, to serve the customer that needs our product.
Right.
So
Right.
in 2017, we sold all the retail stores, and we kept the ammo and the gun store. And then eventually, a year later, my partners bought me out of those other two businesses because I was hired to continue to run my, the tactical company. So I ran that for like 18 months, and that's when I learned about Andy and Ed, and the rest is history. I mean, I joined this syndicate that proved me, applied, and that proved me, and this is my second year.
And now you make oil.
And now, yeah. So
that's a pretty drastic change from tactical stuff to ammo to essential oil. How the hell do you make that transition?
Yeah, so my wife and I started Natural Choice Company because my wife's been doing natural products since like 2004. So
okay, and you were to tell us why?
Okay, because most of the off-the-shelf products, they're full of chemicals.
I didn't think that was exactly going to be the reason why. I thought there was another reason.
No, there's other reasons, but we started with that because my children started having some issues with skin, and we were trying different things, and so she figured out what worked, all natural stuff on my kids. Then in 2006, my son, he was 6 years old. In September 2006, he got diagnosed with a brain tumor, inoperable.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So he got diagnosed in September, and what happened was, we took him to the doctors and all this stuff, and they kept telling us the bullshit stories, like, oh, put him in chemo, put him in radiation, and we're like, okay, what are the statistics that he will survive that?
No, fucking next to nothing.
Exactly. So they kept fucking lying to me. They kept going, well, there's a chance like 20-some%. And no. I said, you've seen this before. Tell me. And finally, some guy grew up here and told me, he goes, well, it's less than 10%. And I said, even that, less than 10%, what the fuck is it? 2%, 1%? Robert Kennedy? The senator got the same brain tumor that my son had.
I don't know.
I think it's Robert Kennedy. I think he was a senator. He had the same brain tumor, and I told my wife, he's got the same thing as our son. He's gone in 3 months. And they did all sorts of things to him, and he was gone in 3 months. So usually they last 3 months. So anyway, so when my son got diagnosed with that, we went all natural. Like we gave up soda pop, potato chip, any junk food, any canned foods, anything like that. And so we started looking more into natural medicine. We went to Mexico and to a holistic doctor, and they did some magnetic therapy. They did reflexology and things like that. But you just can't fucking kill the tumor. It was too big. The tumor was just too big when we noticed that. So anyway, so after he died, January 1, 2007, we continue with our, a routine, all natural products and things like that. And so I wanted to launch a business, but my business started taking off. The tactical gear started taking off, and it was paying the bills. I was making good money. And so I couldn't just take my eye off the ball right here because this was feeding the family. And when I sold the company, then, my wife and I said, okay, it's time for us to do this. And so now the mission of the company is to improve people's life. People don't realize what they're putting on the skin. So, the skin is the largest organ in the body.
True.
And the absorption rate of your skin in certain instances is greater than if you ingest products. So you're in the shower with shampoo, conditioner, and all that shit, and your skin is absorbing that shit. And you're putting soap or body wash or whatever, and it's full of chemicals. And a lot of those chemicals mimic estrogen. So, men start getting men boobs and shit like that, and more effeminate. And I mean, just over a long period of time, obviously. There's a lot of studies by I think it's University of Illinois that has a lot of studies on the effects of products on at least on men. I was studying men because we launched in 2016, we launched a line of natural soaps for soldiers. It was just for men because I started looking at, one day I'm taking a shower and I looked up the soap and it's pink. It smells like roses. And I am not the kind of guy who wants to
smell like roses, right?
And so I'm like, what the fuck? Well, why am I doing this? And so I started looking into it and I'm going, you know what? I don't like shopping. My wife shops. She likes all those smells. And so whatever I got in the bathroom, that's what I use.
Right.
And so I'm going, we might have something here. So we developed a line of products for the soldier. We started with soaps and, kind of by going with a funny campaigns like, do you want to smell like so for the men, you want to smell like roses or fruit or something like that. And for the ladies, it's like, do you want your partner to smell like your girlfriends? You want them to smell manly, that kind of stuff. And so we launched that, and we had a distribution channel. We had 20 some stores, and so we were distributing the soap through those stores. So, getting into the natural products, it has a long story, but little by little.
Did the soap do well?
It started doing well, but then we got into contract with the company to buy us, and they go, okay, all we want is this. So they didn't want the ammo, they didn't want the guns, we were starting a roasting company, and they didn't want anything, just the tactical stuff. So we sold that.
Okay. So are you still making the soap?
Yes. So now we're Natural Choice Company is we're doing essential oils, and our essential oils are really high quality. We compete with the two giants, doTERRA and Young Living, and the company that we partner to do our oil blends. It's a 110-year-old company here in the U.S. And so we have high quality oils. So it's oil, soaps, and now we're going to do anything that touches your skin. We're going to do natural products. So, body lotions, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, soaps, for the ladies, stuff to take off the makeup, night creams, foot creams, all sorts of things. So that's where we're going with this whole thing.
Very cool. So, one thing for me, I've tried natural soaps before, mm-hmm. not yours, I'm sure. But I used to work at a GNC ages ago. And so they would have, a line of natural soaps, whatever. And I'm pretty sure it was a particular brand. But I don't remember the name of it. But regardless, mm-hmm. Like antiperspirant, actually, deodorant is what I was thinking of.
Okay.
I can't seem to get it to work.
Yeah, deodorant is a little hard. It's a little difficult. But like, for instance, for me, I don't use deodorant in the winter. I use coconut oil. That works.
Really?
Yeah.
And what does that do?
I don't know. It keeps me dry. I mean, I don't sweat.
Really?
It's a natural thing. Yeah. In the summer, I use a deodorant, not an antiperspirant. Right.
Right. Antiperspirant. Yeah.
So, but we're working on that product as well. There are natural options. There are natural.
Okay. And why is it that can you tell me why I should be using natural deodorant opposed to regular? Natural opposed to whatever the hell it is I use?
Because whatever it is you use, it's full of chemicals and it's being absorbing through your glands to your skin.
And typically, what is that going to do to me?
Well, I mean, look at the rate of cancer. nowadays. So look at the rate of strange diseases. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. I don't want to say specifically things, but people know there's an epidemic out there, pretty serious sickness.
Right.
So there's a lot of studies about that. Look at your deodorant. Open it up, unfold it. It's got the foldable label. Just look at the back. Nobody does this shit because it's gluing. You think it's one. You take it off and then you see aluminum and all the fucking chemicals that the thing has. Well, that's being absorbed by you.
Right.
Women are getting breast cancer. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that.
There's just a lot of stuff. I mean, if you have the option, why not go natural?
Yeah. Well, it's been years since I've tried anything natural, so maybe it's time to try it. Tom's, I think, was the name of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My wife uses Tom's right now.
Does she? Okay. And it works for her.
It works for her. Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay.
Yeah, but we're developing one with a company, so she'll probably switch to that. But
well, I would think so.
Regardless, it's all natural. And again, we don't drink soda. My children or eat a lot of candy and things like that. We don't. And my children are pretty thin and healthy, I guess.
One of the things that you didn't mention, and this is why this is where I thought you were going a second ago, when you dropped the bomb on me about your 6-year-old having a brain tumor, is that you also have 2 kids that are diagnosed with Down syndrome, correct?
They're not diagnosed; they have it.
Oh, well, I mean, okay, right. So, I mean, I used to, when I was a trainer, I would go to this lady's house and work with their kid, and I don't know how you do it. I mean, like, I guess I'm just not patient. Maybe my patience. I guess I'd have patience if I had one, but like, that has to be a challenge.
Yeah, it was more challenging in the beginning, I think, because they were premature, and they both had Down syndrome, and a lot of respiratory illness issues, blah 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 blah. So we got real deep into oils, into essential oils, to deal with colds, try to avoid the fact that they were, I mean, so for winter, we begin to boost their immune system. We give them vitamin C, and then we use a blend of oils that boost their immune system, and they're not getting sick like they were getting sick before, and so that works for us.
Now, when you say oils, like skin oils,
essential oils, like for instance, my wife has a formula. I don't know what she uses in it, but it's like oregano mixed with this and that. And then she puts some coconut oil in there, and then she applies it on the bottom of their feet every night. She rubs it in the bottom of the feet, their chest, and their back, and they penetrate the skin and it builds their immune system.
Interesting. Bottom of the feet, I would think, I would not think that would be a high absorption area of your body.
Yeah, it is.
Huh.
It is. So we used to. Man, they used to have to fly the twins from Topeka to Kansas City in a freaking helicopter because they were dying of some respiratory infection or whatever. I mean, and they would be in the hospital in Kansas City for 2-3 weeks or a month, and we'd live 2 hours, almost an hour and a half, 45 minutes from the hospital, and so my wife had to spend Monday through Friday out there, and then I had to work, and then on the weekends I would spend it out there. It was it was
hard
a lot of
time.
It's a lot of work and a lot of time and all that stuff. And so we started trying everything, man. Whatever, people say, hey, try this, try that, or whatever, we tried. And what worked the best for us was the oils.
How about that? That's I think that's an important part of this story.
Yeah. They were born in 2008, April 3rd, 2008. And it's been a wild ride, but they're the most loving little creatures in the world, man. It's mornings, hugs, kisses, group hugs, dancing, You name it, dude. I mean, they are freaking happiest kids in the world. It's just, I mean, you can't be sad around them, man. You just can't. You know, you can't.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just they're so happy, very innocent, and I mean, just man, I'm gonna start
Now,
choking because they're so beautiful.
do you think they ever grow out of that? Or, I mean, is that,
No,
I don't know much about, okay,
I,
they don't.
no, actually, you know, they're 11 years old and they don't speak. They say some little words here and there, but mostly sign language. There's different degrees of, uh, you know, people don't want to say retardation, but I think that's what it is. So they're a lot slower. So that there's kids with Down syndrome that could eventually go to college and things like that. Mine won't.
Okay.
Because at 11 years old, they have the mind of a 2-year-old, basically.
And that doesn't change, obviously.
It will gradually get better. They'll do other things like they are born with low muscle tone. And so for them to walk, I mean, it takes years for them to walk.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like a normal baby, you know, they're crawling at 6 months or something like that. Now it took them like 2 years to crawl, to
Wow.
sort of crawl, you know, with their elbows and things like that. I used to call them the snipers because they would be on their elbows. There would be snipers, but it took a long time, you know. Potty trained, it took like 10 years to potty train them, and it's just slow. It's really, really slow. But you know, God is so beautiful in His work that the amount of grief that they've given us versus the happiness, it's like 90% to 10%, man. It's just,
And that's incredible, Miguel. Like, I would have not, just because of not, I don't have that much experience
right.
other than with my friend's kid, which is very minimal. I guess I don't know what to expect. So I love to hear that 90% of the time that they're happy. That's incredible. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, they're I mean, they're the happiest kids ever, man. Period.
Yeah.
They're playful, loving, honest. I mean, everything you really want out of a person, they are. You know.
That's fantastic.
And the drawback is that they don't talk, but you communicate. We do communicate. They understand. If I say no, don't do that, or can you get this? They'll do it, but they can't articulate the words very easily. So some sign language, and
sure,
getting through it. My wife is super happy with that, man, and all my kids too. It's just like really awesome.
That is amazing. Well, Miguel, so I guess we should probably wrap up. I don't even know how long we've been going. This conversation's been so fantastic. So tell everybody where they can find you on all your social channels and your website and all that good stuff, please.
Yeah, so the website is naturalchoicecompany.com, and they could find me on Instagram at MAG Patriot. So it's MAG are my name, the initials of my name, and then Patriot. So,
okay.
Yeah, dude.
Perfect.
Dude, I had a blast, man. I had a blast. Thank you for having me. You really juggled my memory, and I, thinking about my when we were talking about the circle, really brought me back, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not there anymore. I just recently went back to Chicago last week, and I saw my family they used to hang out with, and they all have broken marriages. They're all kids are messed up and all that stuff, and I'm like, man, God loves me too much. He gave me the opportunity to get out. But if I was going to leave you with a piece of advice, or for anybody of your listeners, look at your circle, man. Really, it is so true when they say that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And if you have to move out of the freaking city, the state, or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Because that negative shit around you, if you've got it, it can penetrate your mind and take your ass down right with it.
Yeah, and you do it like you say negative. You're doing all these negative things. They have no possibility to give you a positive outcome. It's just all negative. So you're going to get more shit, more negative shit.
Yeah, that's right. No, you're right. You're 100% right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So, well, Miguel, I want to thank you again. I really appreciate you coming on, spending, this much time with me. I really do appreciate it, brother.
Good. Love it. Love it. Thank you very much. And I really enjoy the conversation. And
Absolutely.
next time I'll be having a scotch and talking to you when we bring it back.
There you go. All right, my man. Well, thank you again. And I guess I'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
You got it, buddy. Bye-bye.